All right, YouTube. So today's video we are making on a very could be controversial, but a subject that needs to be talked about, and that is what does AI, artificial intelligence, planning to do or could potentially do to wildlife photography, for example. Let's talk about wildlife today because this is very important. And then I'll touch on another piece in the artificial intelligence world, which I have actually kind of, brought out as a topic, which is ethical erosion. So we'll talk about what ethical erosion is. You've seen me mention it a few times in my videos in the past. Not really those terms, but I have. And if you're interested, if you're here for the first time, my name is Amar. I am one of the founders of 247 Media Group. There's a lot of things that we do commercially out there, in addition to this YouTube channel. So recently we're actually tightly, working with a lot of brands, and I have a lot of people reaching out when it comes to AI related things because of a lot of my affiliations in the AI world and in the real corporate world out there on the different things that I do around AI and how do we actually speed up delivery of whatever it is that we're delivering. So that all ties to photography. So let's just talk about it, right? The biggest thing that we're really seeing out there today is manufactured AI, manufactured wildlife photos that you see out there, and even some videos now, because some of these AI models, some of these AI programs are getting pretty good. So how can you stand out, and how do you stay relevant, especially when you have vested, like if you turn around here and you look at lenses like this, that is a 200 to 400 lens. You've seen some photos from it already. It's a legendary lens. Yes, it was made for the DSLR, but they never made anything like that for mirrorless. And even today, the images that lens produces, it's as good, if not better, than most RF lenses that are available from Canon. And that's an EF mount, so you can use it on EF and RF and Sony and Nikon and wherever. If you use it on Sony, it's going to cripple it. If you use it on Nikon, no crippling going on. Had to put that out there. This video is actually being captured on the Canon 1DC, the cinema camera. It's a DSLR. I know it's kind of shocking, but it is. It was one of the world's first DSLR to actually capture 4K internal at 422, and that's exactly what we're doing with the 4K 422. And it's also being captured, directly in there on MJPEG. Go figure, right? So I'll probably have about 150 gigs of just video for this one video. So wanted to bring that together, and the entire series that is coming for all of these 1D bodies back here is going to be shot with this very setup. So hopefully you like it. Leave your comments below if there's anything to change, because that entire series, it's going to have the same look and feel for every one of those bodies that we talked about. So back to AI manufactured wildlife, right? You go out there, you get up early, 5, 4 in the morning, get dressed up, bundle up, get out there, take your big lenses like this, and then you get in the car, you start driving wherever it is that you're going to go capture the first ray of light and capture some beautiful birds or whatever it is that you're capturing. You're capturing eagles or you're capturing bears, whatever it is that you're doing. These lenses are expensive. You're talking, you can see how many are back there. Each one, 10 grand plus. And now you got this AI tool, which can pretty much give you a picture of an eagle in any kind of background that you can imagine. You just tell it and it'll, bam, spit it out for you. How do you stay relevant in that? the big question that you should really be asking yourself is, are people around you asking that one question? Is this even real? If that question is on the table, it clearly tells me AI is not doing a good enough job, obviously, because you're still questioning it. Sometimes it's too good, too perfect, and then you question it too. But, you know, as photographers, that's what we do. We want to go out there and spend all this money, right, to have some of the best gear, some of the best editing tools and things like that. One thing that you really got to do is you got to create your style, right, in wildlife photography. Everyone takes a shot of a eagle, no big deal. The bird is big, and pretty much you can take that with any camera. You don't need anything special if you know what you're doing. Those are the key words. Hold on to those words. The big thing is, do you really understand the bird behavior? This is one thing I think AI is going to take a very long time. Someone asked a question, tell us what AI cannot do. AI can't really replicate emotion. When you click that shutter button, well, I'll take that back, because nowadays we're shooting 30 to 40 frames per second. There's really no emotion. You're just holding that shit down and you're hoping that something comes out. And don't even try to tell me that you planned all 40 shots. You didn't. You're lying, right? You're lying to yourself. So let's just get real. If you truly take the time to slow down, and this is why the more I shoot my latest and greatest technology cameras, the more and more I want to go back to shooting these. Because that right there was the real photography. And today, when you look at shooting 40 frames per second, your photo looks just like the guy down the street. And you could be a professional and they're really not. And all they did was just point in that direction. They got the same shot. So what separates you from them? So create your look. And what does that mean? Understand metering, right? I have been a very big stickler on the channel about getting the right exposure. That's the basic. That's the very basic. If you can't get exposure right, then we're already on the wrong foot. Once you get the exposure, here comes the emotion part. How do you create emotion? You make a creative choice. How do you actually meter? You have evaluated, you have spot metering, you have partial metering, you have all these things in your camera. They're not there because Sony, Canon, Nikon had nothing else to do, so they just threw them in there. They're there for a reason. The question is, do you know how to use them? Most people don't. They just leave it on evaluative and let it just leave it alone. Don't touch it. Okay. But what you don't understand is, if you do not understand metering along with exposure and what metering does to your exposure, to your, let's say you have perfect exposure, it changes it, especially when you do spot metering. Because there are going to be certain pieces of that puzzle that are going to be like blown out. Like, let's say, use for example, like this part is darker. This part up here could be blown out. But that's what I want. That's the look I want. You're intentionally doing that. Or maybe it's the bird and I want to actually show the motion. I don't need a perfectly sharp shot every time with my stack sensor and global shutter and all this bullshit, right? That's all noise. Now you're not creating art. The moment you start talking about gear in that way, you're not an artist anymore. You're just a technology junkie that is just looking to get the perfect shot, which has no emotion. Emotion moves people. Shots don't. I can get perfect shots out of my AI model all day long. I don't need you. I got plenty of you out there. It can do that in 5 seconds and it'll spit it out, and it looks pretty good, right? So understand your bird behavior, first of all. What does a bird do right before it takes off? What does it do when it's sitting on a branch and has certain movements of their neck or their head or their talons, like especially in the case of a predator, or a raptor, or even an animal. It doesn't really have to be a bird. I'm just using that as an example. When you're photographing grizzly bears, they do certain things before they'll charge, right? You got to understand that. If you don't, you probably aren't going to be alive to actually share your pictures, right? Same thing, when they're feeding on the salmon in the water. What are they looking for? Why are they waiting to go to a certain exact spot? They wait there for that moment to get that salmon out of there. You can't even see it, but it knows it's there. Bam, goes right in, gets a fresh fish to eat. You have to understand the behavior of the animal that you're photographing. Just like when you're photographing people. If you do not understand your own subject, even with people, you will never be able to create that emotion for that person that lets them look at that photograph and say, that is absolutely beautiful. Same thing happens with wildlife. The only problem is the wildlife doesn't come and tell you, what an idiot, you just messed up my shot. I don't look good, right? That's the only thing. You just don't have a feedback mechanism there. But with a human, you do. So it leads to my next point, which is called ethical erosion. What that really means is when you start to bait animals, you're setting up traps for them to do certain things so you can photograph them. You're actually destroying their ecological system. Don't do that. Right? Don't do that to get a shot. If you're doing that, go find another hobby. Because you're actually hurting the planet by doing that. These animals, they live a certain way. They have to be able to find their own food. I don't bait my birds that I photograph. Right? They get food once every 2.5 months. I don't give them food all the time. There is literally almost a 3 to 4 week period where they have to go and find food on their own. And I only do that because they have little ones. I watch their behaviors, but they do not leave, right? Because they've learned how to adapt. It's pretty smart. They become smart. Is that kind of baiting? Kind of. But I am not giving them food every single day and overfeeding them out there, and having food available for them all the time. That's not what I'm doing, right? So if you're doing that, please be a little bit more ethical into just respecting their space, because this is not your space. They were here much before us. And if we want to really create their emotions out of them, we have to photograph them in their own environment, which means get out there at 4 or 5 in the morning. And it pisses you off, right? When you're actually out there 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, going out there, taking the shot, and then someone sitting at the computer going blah, 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 telling someone F you, F that, F this, F that on their keyboard, right, onto 10 different 10 different videos. And then they go into an AI chat, whatever that engine, one of the LLMs, and then they type in there, get me a picture of a bald eagle, blah, 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 in Alaska in front of this with a blue mountain in the back, and then I want all of this kind of tree on the left and that. You tell it exactly what you want, it will recreate a photo for you. But on the other hand, many of us, like fools, spend tens of thousands of dollars on things like this, take it out there to get that one shot that we can hang up on the wall that creates emotion. It pisses you off. So if you want to stay relevant, learn the game of obviously exposure, metering for the whites if you're shooting wildlife. If you don't understand that, you're always going to be accidentally photographing anything that you shoot in wildlife. Understand that. Once you understand that, then the advanced technique is understand your metering modes to create the emotion. Overexpose certain parts, underexpose certain parts. But don't go around doing that if you don't understand exposure. Because if you can't even get basic exposure, you'll never understand, you'll never be able to create emotion. And even if you do, it's going to be by pure luck. Photography is not about luck. It's a skill. So practice it, learn it, go out there and make it happen. So I hope this video finds you well. I hope this video wakes you up. This is a very different type of video. And I hope AI is lighting that fire under your rear, especially if all what you've been doing is going from channel to channel and live stream to live stream, just bullshitting on these chat windows. Stop doing all that. Watch the videos, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. But pick up that camera, get out there and create stuff with this kind of stuff out there. And that's when you're going to be relevant. If not, you're going to become irrelevant very quickly. Because, again, if you don't have a brand to your image, which means a certain look that people want, you're not important anymore, right? And a lot of your friends will tell you, oh, this is awesome, this is great. But guess what? A lot of people say that to their friends all the time. But do they hire their friends actually when it really comes time to paying? They don't. They usually will hire someone else because they don't trust their friend to the same level as someone else posing to be a professional photographer, and that could be a much worse. And that's because you haven't created that in their heart into saying, there's nothing like the images that I produce. And when people look at your images and say, ah, this is an image this guy shot, I know it. I can just tell. That's when you know you made it. So with that, like, subscribe, be nice to each other, go out there, create your magic, and I will talk to you in the next one. Thank you.